So I don't know if you saw this earlier today, but Pete Davidson is apparently dating Emily Ratajkowski.
Oh, of course. Saw that one.
So are we putting Pete Davidson in the Hall of Fame? My man's like LeBron James, Michael Jordan of celebrity boyfriends.
Let me break this one down real quick. So, of course, the big bombshell news of the morning: Pete Davidson is dating Emrata, and I just want to say, this man, he needs to start some type of online class on how to be him, because
The
he
Riz game.
clearly has something that no other man on earth does, and I just don't know exactly what it is.
He might just be packing some heat.
I mean, that's probably what it is, but it's just like, goddamn, all right, Pete Davidson goes from what, Ariana Grande to Kim Kardashian to now Emrata.
Apparently,
I
I was told also he also was with Miley Cyrus at one point.
I mean, I'm not the biggest Miley fanboy, but it's just like the names on this man's resume is unreal. Okay, like this man. Oh my god, inevitable. Pete Davidson, you sir, you're in the Hall of Fame.
My man is Thanos. He's collecting all of the
Actually, though, he's collecting
all
all
the
the gems
stones,
one by one,
all the
all the
stones one
stones.
by one. He's filling out his
Eventually,
gauntlet.
he's gonna be able to snap and just delete all men off the planet. It's just him. So you got to think about it from that way. But also, Everett, I'm not sure if you heard about this other relationship news that broke. Apparently, Michael Jordan's son is now dating Larsa Pippen,
Pippin,
Scottie Pippen's ex-wife.
life.
So,
Yeah, did see that.
um, yeah, the beef between MJ and Scottie's still there. I saw Isaiah Thomas was beefing with Michael Jordan still last week too. Of course, he'll never stop. But yeah, a lot of interesting things in the dating world. Next thing you know, I mean, shit, we might get Jada
Sounds
Smith
like
back involved again. I don't
anybody
know.
associated with the Charlotte Hornets really do be wild and out there.
Yeah, I mean, the NBA right now as a whole, I haven't been keeping up much with it, but I know LaMelo just made his season debut
Yeah,
the
he
other
did just
night.
come back.
Probably took a month off meeting up with his 30 or 40-year-old girlfriend, or however old she is. But hey, do your guys' thing. Do what you guys got to do. And maybe next year Hornets can win a playoff series. But yeah, I think that's a nice little clean intro to start. So, all right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Waterboy Podcast. Today it is episode number
Hold on,
60.
hold on. We need a little bit more gusto.
I feel like that was pretty fucking
I think it was
amazing.
just pretty. It was just pretty. Just like, hi, welcome back to the Waterboy Podcast. It's episode 65. It's just pretty.
I kind of think okay, sure. I thought that was great, but I'll give it. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Waterboy Podcast. Today it is episode number 65. 65. Okay.
65 or is it
I
60?
was trying to think of a special number to align with 65 there, but no, I didn't think of anything in advance. I don't have
We're
anything
getting close
special
to
for that.
one number in specifics.
I know what you're talking about. We're very close to episode number 69. So yeah, we're that'll be coming out in 2 weeks actually. That will be the oh my god, episode number 69, of course, is the podcast following the Ohio State Michigan game.
Oh,
There's
that's
no other
beautiful.
way. There's no
That's
other way to write this
beautiful.
shit.
We
Also
perfectly
next
timed this.
yeah, also next week we will have a very special edition
Oh
very
wow.
special edition of Grant versus Michigan men for the podcast. I will be taking on Michigan men, fighting with them,
It's been
bickering,
in
arguing.
development for a while.
And I've given Michigan a lot of respect, but over the past 2 weeks, I've seen a lot of Michigan fan bases and forum posts of them very concerned about this Ohio State game. And the one thing I want to say is this is how rivalries are supposed to be. Okay, rivalries should have both fan bases shitting their pants weeks in advance leading up to it, and it should be an extremely stressful time. That's the sign of a great rivalry, and Michigan Ohio State is the greatest rivalry in all of sports. So it makes a lot of sense. It adds up. Give me another one. Give me another. Give me another.
No, I was just thinking because at face value, I like it doesn't really seem like that would be the number one in all of sports, but actually after thinking
I
about it,
mean,
like
I'm obviously hella biased. Like, don't get me
yeah,
wrong.
Malice
But
at the Palace, maybe.
I mean, I'm not sure if the fucking Pistons and Pacers were like beefing that fucking hard other than that one. I say it like
Celtics,
this.
Lakers.
The reason why, in my opinion, Ohio State Michigan is the greatest rivalry is because like the rivalry runs year round, every single day. And I learned this all from my dad. My dad from fucking date. Every single day, my dad wakes up and he has one goal on his mind, Everett. You know what that goal is? A win on Thanksgiving weekend in September. I knew how serious the rivalry was when it was a Sunday. I was like 9 years old. The NFL is on, and my dad is rewatching tape of an Ohio State Illinois game from the day before instead of watching NFL. That's how I know this shit runs deep. Like, that's how I know. And that rivalry, they only play once a year, but the rivalry goes on for 365 days a year.
Possibly twice this year.
I'm going to be honest, with the playoff expansion, it's going to inevitably start happening. Ohio State versus Michigan, the playoff, they're going to start playing 2 times in a season. That's just going to be so fucking much. It's going to be so much. It's going to be too much for me. And like, I literally think to myself, like, let's say this year, for example, I don't think there's a scenario where both Ohio State and Michigan could get in with 4 teams.
I still think that
USC
there is.
Drops and I think TCU right now can lose a game and they'll still get in over the loser of Ohio State, Michigan, just because they'll be 1-loss conference champ. And like usually in the past, I wouldn't say that, but I think this year, because like I think Tennessee's kind of a shoe-in to get that.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think right now, I think that's where the committee kind of wants it to go. But
I think so too.
Rankings. We'll be talking.
I think so too. But I also think that Michigan and Ohio State have both been unbelievable this year. And ratings wise, if you just watch Georgia dog on Tennessee, why in the world are you about to put them in? If you're going to put in any other SEC team, it's going to be LSU.
I do think yes. Well, I just don't think LSU is going to beat Georgia.
I don't think so either. That's why
LSU does beat Georgia, though,
then they're going to get in.
Both are it.
And in that situation, yes, then it's going to be the winner of Ohio State, Michigan, and TCU will be there. But assuming that's not the case, I still think that TCU might slide up to 3 and Michigan is going to be at 4. Like right now they have Michigan and Ohio State both ranked 2 and 3 respectively. You can't take whatever one of those teams that loses and knock them out. Like it just doesn't make sense to me right now. That's what the committee has them ranked at.
If Ohio State played Michigan 3 weeks ago, like when Alabama played Tennessee, then I think both teams could get in. But because it's the very last game, the loser of the Ohio State Michigan game, that will be their last game of the regular season. It won't get
I agree, but I also think
fucked.
I
agree with you here, but
it comes down to ratings. It comes down to ratings. If the ratings,
that's why
if the ratings for Ohio State and Michigan, it'll
be the best game of the year.
If they are absurd, they both will get in.
No, every year it's the most watched game. Literally every
in the end, it's all for money. It is. In the end, it's all for money. That's
the one thing though. It is all for money, Everett. I 100% agree. I think TCU. I was just shocked how they beat Texas last week. I really do think though, it's so college football that I don't know who TCU is playing next week, but it's like next week is the fucking upset week for TCU. But I've been saying that every single week since we started talking about them. So I don't know. We
both said it. We both said last week was going to be the
every week is going to be the upset week, and it hasn't happened yet, Everett. So now I'm kind of
maybe it'll never happen.
I'm probably wrong. It won't happen until the playoff. Then we'll get it.
TCU plays Baylor.
It's like the Big 12 gauntlet is so hard. I'm going to be like, it's actually absurd how TCU is 10-0.
TCU is going to play Baylor and Iowa State to wrap up their year. They most likely are going to have a rematch with K-State in Texas at TCU for the conference championship.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. Like Kansas State right now, they big win over the weekend. I think they beat Baylor. I believe so.
Baylor. I believe so.
But they beat another team ever like 31. They beat Baylor 31-3 on the road. It's just like Kansas State. God damn, Everett. Like they're playing some good ball. And hey, it's tough to beat a team 2 times in a season.
At UCF.
It's tough to beat a team
at UCF, and that's the only thing that I'm going to talk about that, because if we get into the game that Tulane was a part of this weekend, I will have way too much to say. So,
okay, Everett. I'm gonna give my college football recap real quick.
all right.
Then I'm gonna give my rankings, and then we'll go over Tulane real quick.
Just one thing I'm going to say, it's pretty hard to beat a team when you have 5 extra personnel on the field, constantly giving calls to the other team. So,
are you talking about the 12 men on the field for the Bills against the Vikings, or the,
no. Well, there's that game, but I'm also talking about the 5 extra players in black and white that were playing for UCF on Saturday.
The refs. I'm gonna be honest, Everett. Like, I turn your Twitter notifications on whenever your team is playing because I just like to hear your live updates. I like to see your live.
We're talking about the Vikings now.
Tulane.
Well, I don't
tweet. Yeah, pretty much just Vikings. And I saw a lot of holy shit. The refs are so bad. And when I was first seeing that, part of me was thinking like, hey, this is probably just a fan watching the game through the fan lens and every single thing. It's just, you always just feel like you're getting fucked. I understand. And I just thought you were being a little over dramatic, overreactionary. Then I actually started watching games. No, the fix is in. The NFL actually fucking hates. I know we're talking about the Vikings now, but it's just your team.
Also Tulane, but yeah,
they hate
just any team that I have some residual fan base, and yeah,
I really thought you were just being a little overreactionary, and then I actually started watching, paying attention. You're actually getting fucked. Like you're literally.
We'll talk about it later. I have a lot.
You're actually getting fucking.
I have a lot to say.
All right, college football recap. Everett, get me
ready.
Going.
3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, TCU. I was wrong. You guys deserve that number 4 spot in the country after beating Texas on the road. Props to you guys. I'm not sure if you guys will ever lose this season. UCLA USC, that game is this weekend. I was really excited for it, but too bad UCLA lost to Arizona over the weekend at home. And the other side of the Pac-12 is kind of dead after Oregon lost to Washington at home. So USC's the last hope the Pac-12's got for the playoff. Ohio State, Michigan, that's coming up in a couple weeks. Both teams got by Indiana and Nebraska pretty easily. We'll have to see what happens. Okay. All right.
There's a little bit of some gaps in there where you took a nice big deep breath. That'll have to get cut out when you put that up on the TikTok at Waterboy Pod. But
do you want me to do my rankings right now or after we go over Tulane shit? What do you want to do?
I mean, look, the only thing I'm going to say about Tulane is then you can do your rankings. I'm going to be very sparse with words because there's a lot that I could say. We didn't start off playing that well. I think that Plumlee obviously came from Ole Miss. He saw what Matt Corral did to our defense last year, running straight up the middle with QB draws, very athletic quarterback. Basically used that against us to start the game with 2 70-ish yard runs for touchdowns. Pretty hard to come back after that. But I mean, we fought, we came back within 1 score. Could have won the game. But obviously the UCF played great, and we had some mistakes on our half that we had to overcome. But also, I will say that it's very difficult to overcome when you have multiple refs making bogus calls in favor of UCF the entire game. There's an offsides call they didn't call. There was a false start call they didn't call. There was phantom DPIs on Jabo the whole game. A specific call that cost us a potential game-winning drive was we stopped them. It was 4th down, 2 minutes left, 1 score game. And they go Philly special, have their quarterback run out for a catch on 4th down, and he misses it. It's an uncatchable ball. We don't even touch him, and they calls for DPI. They get the ball 1st down and score. So that's all I'm going to say. UCF will see you in Orlando in 3 weeks. And like Grant said, it's hard to beat a team twice. So we'll see you.
Hard to beat a team.
We'll be in the Cotton Bowl. We'll see you guys.
Hard to beat a team
twice.
You can
see us on TV.
I was watching this game. I was watching this game in its full entire. I just want to say one quick thing. It just seems. I mean, we obviously can't just do this, but it's take away those fucking long ass UCF runs early game.
They did nothing.
It's just a whole different fucking ball game.
They did nothing.
Of course, I mean, those runs occurred.
A substantial amount of their conversions on third down and fourth down, I guess, came from ref giving them the first down on penalties. That obviously that's like, obviously we're getting penalized, and regardless if they're bogus or not, that means that there was something that the refs thought, even though the fix was in. So that's something that we have to work on. But you can't be stating that that UCF completely outplayed us when there was no evidence that that was the case.
Yeah, and I mean, also UCF wins the turnover battle. Slightly outgained you in yards. That wasn't really a big thing, but like, to me, it really felt like time of possession.
Yes.
Just who had the ball. UCF,
it definitely is the case.
Lead. They're a running team, and
but also keep this in mind
of how they're playing.
Yes, that is true, but we only lose by one score, possibly considering all of the faults that our team had. Should have had a chance to come back to at least tie the game. Refs took that opportunity away from us. Who cares? Loss is a loss, win is a win. Hard to beat a team twice in a year, hard to lose to a team twice in a year. We're coming back for UCF. We're going to break Cincy's streak in Cincinnati, their home win streak, to go to the championship game.
Is it a just general home winning streak or like a conference home winning streak?
General home winning streak.
Okay.
We're going to break that. We're going to be the team to break that. We're going into Orlando. Hey, streaks are meant to be broken. They're made to be broken.
True.
The Vikings showed that this weekend.
True.
You know,
Bills lose last week, though?
No, this is a home record for the Bills. And we're going to go into the bounce house. We're taking it to you. It's revenge for last year. And we're going to the Cotton Bowl.
I love it. I love it.
That's the last thing I'm saying. That's the last thing I'm saying about Tulane the rest of the season.
Oh, shit. Okay. All right. Well, that's definitely cap. We'll definitely be bringing it up again.
No, I'm not going to lie. When we haven't talked about it, we've been doing great. So that's it.
All right. Roll wave, everybody. Okay.
Roll wave.
My college football rankings. Don't have much changing, but Oregon loses. We have some other shakeups.
Surprising loss. I'm not gonna lie. A very surprising loss. Very.
I'll be honest. I had Oregon Washington the back line. I'm like, hey, it's a nice little game. Gotta pay attention to, but I didn't expect it to go the way that it did. Also, in that game, I know Oregon did end up losing, but I was very impressed how they were able to consistently respond when they got punched in the face. Like, I know Oregon lost, but it's just like, I mean, that's not an easy game for Pac-12 opponents, is what I'm saying. Like, USC,
Nix might stay one more year. I guess I don't know if he's draft eligible, but he stays another year. I mean, they've got a future for at least next year for a playoff run.
100%. I'm not sure what's going on with Justin Flo and Noah Sewell, their linebackers, and Noah Sewell's Penei Sewell's little brother.
Yep.
I'm not sure their situation, but I mean, their offense is fucking unreal. I didn't expect them to be that dynamic after losing Dye, Cristobal, new quarterback, all the shit. I mean, we've gone over this a ton, but okay. Here's my college football rankings. After week 10 for week 11, number 1, Georgia, number 2, Ohio State, number 3, Michigan, number 4, TCU, number 5, Tennessee, number 6, LSU, number 7, USC, number 8, Alabama, number 9, Utah, number 10, Clemson. I probably won't include those last.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm cutting you at 10. I don't agree with Tennessee at 5.
Okay.
And what I will say is,
do you think,
yes.
What, like,
I think
LSU,
you switch.
USC?
I think you switch LSU and Tennessee. I think
now that is true. However, Everett, Tennessee beat LSU 40-13.
I'm aware.
In LSU.
I'm aware. The reason why I say that is all recency bias.
Better give me a good ass reason.
It's all recency bias, especially with football, like playoff rankings. It's all recency bias. And yeah, like, I would also make the argument you could put USC up 1, but I still think that you have to switch Tennessee and LSU just by the basis of how beat down we just watched Tennessee get. Even though they've been coming back, right? LSU
killed Missouri last week.
It's Missouri. Who the fuck cares?
I know.
Unless you're like
Georgia
gonna
didn't kill Missouri.
I'm aware of that. I was about to talk about Kent State, but Georgia did kill Tennessee. So I mean, whatever. LSU has looked a lot better lately in comparison to how Tennessee has looked ever since that Georgia game.
I'm not sure about last week. LSU didn't look great. They had to come back.
Yeah, and did they win?
13-10 against Arkansas. Yeah, but I mean, I
The
don't
one,
think that's
yes, they did.
enough to
They
put
did have to
them
come
over
back,
Tennessee.
but also, it was in Arkansas. It was cold. It's snowy. Like you got it. Like yes, they didn't look great, but also conditions do play into this. And I think that if you put that at a neutral
Wait, Everett. So are you telling me LSU gets a bye for weather, but Ohio State doesn't get a bye for playing an 80-mile-an-hour winds against Northwestern? Is that what you're telling me?
I didn't say that. I never talked about Ohio State not getting a bye.
I know, but I'm saying, like the point you just made trying to defend LSU, like I hear that all the time on Twitter, SEC fans, how last week the SEC
no, yes, if you're going to talk about weather, then it applies to all teams.
It
applies to all teams.
Weather against Northwestern, they fucking suck dick. If my
applies to all teams, unless
the team 100 yards.
If you want to talk about Ohio State, if Ohio State plays every single game in 80-mile-per-hour winds, and they go to an away game and it's 80-mile-per-hour winds, I'm not giving them slack. But considering that that's not a realistic thing that happens in real life, yes, they get one for that. But like
we're giving them crap, but the media does. Well, my one thing ever is I don't know how you could possibly put LSU over Tennessee over the past 2 weeks, and you like.
If you want to make that, if you want to make that argument, if you want to make that argument, then put USC above both of them.
You can't do that.
You can't put you can't put Tennessee and LSU if you're going to make the argument about both of them
above USC.
No, I mean, like it's all about the way the teams have looked lately. If we're going to make that argument,
USC has not looked good lately,
but LSU has. Outside of the weather conditions last week, they have looked very good. And they have the wins to prove it.
Good last week.
I think that if you put Tennessee in that 5 spot, they're about to get murdered by against whatever team that they put there. I think LSU puts up a fight. Tennessee, when the last game,
you think LSU puts up a fight, but then right before
I think. Well, I also think that LSU,
Tennessee.
I also think that LSU would get murdered by Georgia, but regardless of that point, I think LSU might.
Georgia's inevitable. Well, that's a whole separate story.
I think that Tennessee, like maybe they learned. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they learned after the Georgia game, right? Like obviously, I've said the same thing with the Vikings. When they play the Eagles, like it's a different week. You know, they learned, but I just don't think that like you have to apply recency bias into it, which is bogus. But I think that you do.
My one thing though is last week LSU was 7, Tennessee was 5, Oregon was in between them at that 6 spot. Oregon obviously loses, of course. I'm a little lost on how, like, I understand. Well, I get your argument. You think recency at LSU should be getting.
Well, look, LSU knocked off Bama. That was that week. Also, like Georgia decimated Tennessee. The week before that, Tennessee goes out. They beat Kentucky. I don't think Kentucky's that big of a not that great of a team. LSU's on bye the week before that. LSU beats Ole Miss, another ranked team. Tennessee does nothing. They have UT Martin. So out of the most recent games that both teams have played, LSU has played bigger opponents and have played well. So I think if you're taking that, you're taking a recency bias. You have to consider that.
I do get what you mean.
Even in the end, if they do not play as well, if they start losing, okay, then take them down. But by late comparison, even if Tennessee beat them at one point, lately LSU has looked better.
Now, like I'll be honest, I love your arguments here. I love everything you're saying. This immediately just popped an example in my head. In 2016, Ohio State was 11-1. They went to the College Football Playoff over Penn State, who was 11-2. Penn State, they beat Ohio State that season. They had one extra loss in Ohio State, but Penn State ended up winning the Big Ten championship game. So it sounds kind of an awful lot like this scenario where if LSU does win out and beats Georgia, they will 100% be in the College Football Playoff. I might even go so far to say they may. I also just don't think that it's fair considering Tennessee, unless LSU starts losing out, basically Tennessee doesn't have a shot of making the SEC championship game. Unfortunately, that's
so I don't think that it's fair to put Tennessee above them when like are not going to be making a championship game. I think that by ranking specifically,
also,
you should take that in consideration.
Okay, I actually want to fight back on that a little bit, Everett. Okay, so Tennessee, they have no chance, pretty much. They have no chance of playing the SEC championship game right now. Pretty much. Georgia has to lose. They're probably not. Even if Georgia loses, Georgia's still in it because they've
locked
still
it.
have the head-to-head over.
Yeah.
So
they locked it.
Georgia's getting it pretty much fucking no matter what. Okay. This is my problem. Like LSU and Georgia, they'll play that extra game. We don't get that extra information on Tennessee. This is exactly like the Ohio State.
That extra game that Tennessee
Penn State.
That extra game that we're looking at for Tennessee, we already saw, and it was last week or 2 weeks ago.
No, yeah, okay. Okay. Let me try to just fucking get this out. Okay. With Penn State, they beat Ohio State. They don't get in, and it was a massive fucking issue in the committee. Everyone's like, Penn State beat Ohio State head to head. They are the conference champions, but they have an extra loss than Ohio
I don't think
State
that applies here.
I think it doesn't directly apply, but I think in this case,
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie.
Wait, here's how I just got it. Okay. LSU has 2 losses right now. Tennessee has 1 loss. Let's say they win out. Okay. The difference in that other example was Penn State had less loss than Ohio State, but beat Ohio State. In this scenario, LSU has less loss than Tennessee, but they also lost to Tennessee. Everett, I'm going to be honest. There's absolutely zero reason for you to put LSU over Tennessee right now. Absolutely zero.
I'm not gonna lie. I do not follow. Like, I understand you're trying to talk about head-to-head records. If like that's the route you're going,
that's like big fucking part
I
of
get that
thing. Ever, I'm gonna be. It is a big thing.
I understand that, but also like a huge part of the way that the committee decides things is based on the way that teams play presently. It's not based on a week 2 loss. It's not based on.
I think that's true, but I think LSU, they'll get the benefit of the doubt there. But I think Tennessee's getting it.
But also, if we want to talk about that, look at how shitty LSU looked at the start of the season. Lose to Florida State, barely
Everett, you know me, I believe the first 3
barely beat Florida.
Do not indicate how the team is at all. So like that early loss to Florida State, I don't fucking care, but the committee does.
Yeah,
like,
no, I
don't
get
care,
that.
But the committee, you guys lost to Florida State at home. You guys like that's what they're thinking.
I think that you consider recency bias into this. And I think that while Tennessee looked like the best team obviously in college football a couple of weeks ago, the slaughter that happened more recently to the number 1 seed in that conference is what is causing me to want to put LSU up. And next week, it could be flipped based on the way that LSU and Tennessee play. But I'm saying for this week, and we've been going on this for a fucking minute.
Yeah. We're gonna wrap stuff.
But based on this week, based on the performances this week, based on the recent performances over the last 2-3 weeks, LSU deserves to be there for right now.
Okay. All right. I'll let you die on that hill. All
right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. NFL time. I'm gonna quick wardrobe change. So Everett, why don't you introduce us? I'll do my NFL recap a bit later. We'll start with the Vikings. So Everett, let's start talking about the greatest football game. Actually, the 3rd greatest football game of the past 6 years. Go on.
Okay, so I don't even know really where to begin about the Vikings game. We were down 17 at one point, and I have said this all year. Like, this team's got fight in them. They will fight back. They will win close games by the same margin, whether it is the best team in the NFL or the worst team in the NFL. It could be the Texans, could be the Bills, could be the Chiefs, could be the Raiders, and they're going to win all of those games by 3 points. And nothing has solidified that more than this past week. And if people are going to argue Bills fans, just random Packers fans because you love to hate us, and now we live rent-free in your head, apparently. The Bills didn't lose that game like themselves. Like the Vikings came back and played very well in the second half, impressively so, considering that they have never played well in the third quarter this year. Josh Allen made some pretty bad throws, to be fair, but also this is the same
So did
thing I said.
Kirk.
Kirk made some bad throws. He got
Josh
2
Allen
picks.
doesn't get an excuse there. Both
He had
quarterbacks
two
didn't play that
horrible
well.
picks that he threw directly to the Bills. Like I was curious if Kirk's colorblind after those 2 picks. But like you want to argue all that stuff. Also, you cannot defend the horrible reffing that occurred in the officiating that occurred in the last 2-3 minutes of that game. On top of that, so
yeah,
17-point comeback for the win.
Take us through a little. I would kind of want to talk a little bit about some of this ref bullshit because I'll be honest, I turned the game off for a period in the second half because I was like, this shit's over. I'm gonna go watch Justin Fields put on a show. Of course, like let's just say this, Everett. I think I kind of have a curse whenever I'm watching football. Like whenever I'm watching, the players don't play well, and whenever I stop watching, they do play well. So, Everett, I was watching you guys in the first half. I turned it off. Then you start going on your run. While that was simultaneously happening, I start watching the Bears. They choke their lead away, start losing. Am I a curse? Like, am I the reason?
It's either you are a curse, or whenever we're down and I tweet that the game is chalked, we come back. Because
it's probably
this weekend, last week, it's a bit of both. Look, okay, so with the refs call, there's a couple
4-10 at halftime. Oh my god.
There's a couple things. We were down at 17 by 1 point, but there's a couple things that goes into this. Like the whole game, like it wasn't terribly reffed, I would say, for a good portion of it. But holy shit, the second half was absolute catastrophe. Those last 3 to 4 minutes was horrific. First and foremost, you have Kirk Cousins going in this QB sneak. Kind of looks like he broke the plan. Kind of looks like he doesn't.
Oh, I gotta get my laptop charger.
I think that you need to call that a touchdown, and then you can review it. If you want to review it, call it back. That's fine. I don't really care, but at least start with that. Next, in OT, you have 12 men on the field, 12 Buffalo Bills on the field versus the Vikings when they're going in to score. This is on the first play from the goal to score a touchdown. You have 12 men on the field for Buffalo.
Yeah,
they stopped Dalvin Cook there for a loss. I wonder why. It's almost like you have an extra man on the field, which is hard to block. I don't know how the hell the refs are that blind, but I mean, shit, they need to get a new prescription for their contacts because it's pretty damn bad.
Very bad. Very bad.
My somebody with cataracts should probably see better than them. With that, also, you have this is literally the worst call. Arguably on par with it's not on par with the ref targeting our player last week to give the Commanders a touchdown. That was pretty damn bad. This is second to that. Gabriel Davis on a play to basically could have possibly changed the entire direction the game had went. The game could have ended. An obvious from every camera angle for every fan, Bills and Vikings alike, even if Bills fans won't admit it, but I feel like they will, comes down with the ball. The ball clearly does not remain in possession as he hits the ground. It is clearly separated from his body, does not follow through with possession. And the refs, not even from New York, not from the officiating center, and none of the refs on the field call that. And on top of that,
how is that not automatically
Kevin O'Connell even asked them why it wasn't reviewed, and they were just like, we weren't in the range to see it, so we just called it a catch. And after the whole game, the head officiator in New York was like, yeah, like I'm not gonna lie, I don't know why the refs didn't review that. I don't know why the call didn't come down. If it had been reviewed, it would have been reversed. And it's just absolutely horrendous, absolutely unforgivable call right there. Like I don't know why the agenda is out. Like even my favorite thing is after the game, the NFL tweeted out, "Oh, Minnesota Vikings, Kirk changed." Like, I'm like, dude, it's not thanks to you. Like, you're just taking our success. Like, no thanks to NFL officiating. Like, you guys tried to give the Bills the whole game. Like, what do you like? What? It's just now that they didn't win, you have to like be like, oh no, we were cheering for the Vikings the whole time. Like, it's fine.
So
like, come on.
So yeah, like real quick, going a little bit back to the 12 men on the field. That like. I'm going to be honest, like when I'm watching the games live, like I'm never counting how many dudes are on the field, but I am looking at the front 7 formation, like how many fuckers are in the box. I'll count that before every play. I don't know how the line judge doesn't fucking pick up on how there's extra people. Like, how do you not pick up on that right away?
I don't know.
Another slight thing I want to say about that, according to the game log, which I'm reading, I'm pretty sure I have this correct, but on the play that Buffalo had 12 men on the field, I'm reading that was a play where your guard stepped on Kirk's foot and he
yes, it is.
Now, I'm not saying this is an excuse to not call a penalty, but part of me kind of thinks they just saw the guard step on Kirk, saw him fall, and they were just like, oh, whatever, fuck it, next play.
But also, to be fair,
I'm not excusing them for it.
So Ed Ingram is the guard that did that. He's been a liability the whole season. We've talked about him.
I'll be honest, when you were tweeting about him, I thought you were talking about like your defensive coordinator. I'm like, yeah, I mean, shit, you guys are calling it bad. And I'm like, oh, he's talking about the right guard who stepped on Kirk twice in this game.
Yes, also last week. It's done it multiple times. He sacked Kirk Cousins himself last week. But like, even if that's the case, like it's hard to compensate for an extra man on the field. Like, I can understand possibly you get driven back because you're trying to compensate for an extra player blitzing you. But
I don't know how
if you also do that, if it's if it's a 12 man on the flag, you're gonna flag that. You're not going to first in inches on the goal line. You QB sneak that thing 3 times. You're going to get it. CJ Ham fullback dive 3 times. You're going to get in, and that's going to be game. Like, if the Vikings
were bitching about no CJ Ham, and then the second they go to CJ Ham fullback dive, touchdown.
Like, literally, I said, and I tweeted this out. I said, 4th and 1. What should you do? CJ Ham dive. Oh, they're punting it. Next time, it's like 3rd and goal. Like, CJ Ham touchdown. What can I say?
You were pretty fucking on when it came to some suggestions you were making, but
is it a phone? Like an old dial-up?
What the fuck is going on? I'm actually not even fucking. I have no.
It sounded like an old rotary phone.
The start of the purge? Like, what the fuck?
It's an old rotary phone or some shit, like the old landline.
Intercom going on. I can't hear. There's some intercom announcement going on. I don't fucking care.
You have an intercom?
I got a podcast. Just USC. They just have like speakers so they can like say shit. I guess.
Oh, I got
I'll be
you.
honest, I had no idea this was a thing until when I'm here. Like, some announcements going on, but whatever. I got you to deal with. Okay. As a former guard, okay, I don't exactly remember the play, but I would assume if you're stepping on Kirk, like, you're probably like pulling or something. I would assume.
No, it was a run. I guess it was a run block, so I don't really know because it happened right when he stepped back from the line.
That he's pulling because it would make.
It happened right when he stepped back from the line. To be fair,
I'll be honest. As a former guard, a lot of the times, like, if the guard is running into the quarterback, a lot of times that's the quarterback's fault.
So also here's an interesting stat line. For the game, 111 of Dalvin Cook's rushing yards, 111 of his 118 came outside of the tackles on pitches, not running through where the guards are, not running through where Ed Ingram is.
Yeah, another thing I was thinking of, Ohio State, kind of similar to Vikings, their interior lineman's been so bad in the whole year. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Actually, sorry, no. He didn't run in between the tackles once all game. He either went to the left tackle or the right tackle.
Now, like, a lot of the time I'm sitting here bitching and complaining, like, why the fuck don't you just run inside zone? If they run inside zone, it's -2 yards. Like, that's why.
Yeah, no, the interior O-line, Bradbury's been better, but I have this. Here's our.
I mean, like,
here's our PFF grades. Here's our PFF grades.
What they're fucking doing. Like,
here's our PFF grades for the O-line.
I fucking hate these grades, but all right, let's hear them.
Christian Darrisaw, the left tackle, 89.8, second in the NFL, first now after last week. Ezra Cleveland, 71.9, 11th. Garrett Bradbury, 69.5, 10th. Brian O'Neill, 78.7, which is 9th. Not pictured is Ed Ingram, who is not even ranked inside the top 20.
I'm going to be honest, though. The fact that, a 69 PFF grade for a center is the 10th best in the league, Everett.
I swear to God, like a transformer just blew outside my window. There's just a giant.
I don't know what the fuck's going on today, Everett.
This isn't you. Do you hear that? You did hear that?
This is just a weird fucking day. This is just a weird day.
Nope, that was lightning. Okay.
I was
a thunderstorm going on.
I just had some point to make about the Vikings Bills, but that is completely
okay.
left my mind.
So here's sorry, Ingram was a 55.6 rating. So here's the last couple things that I'm just gonna add. The Vikings, every player that has had a revenge game this year, they have won. Darius Smith got a win versus the Packers. Jordan Hicks and Patrick Peterson got wins versus the Cardinals.
Was Jalen Reagor on the team for the Eagles game?
No, he was not. Kirk Cousins.
There you go.
Maybe I don't think he was.
I don't think he was.
I don't think he was. Kirk Cousins got a win versus Washington, and Harrison Phillips got a win versus Buffalo. But also all of them are starters. So if Reagor was on the team, I'm not gonna count it because he's not a starter. Other thing, by the way, no quarterback, no team has ever lost to Kirk Cousins and won the Super Bowl. Sorry, Bills. That's tough.
Really?
No team in the NFL in NFL history has ever lost.
Kirk Cousins
if you lose to Kirk Cousins, you will not win the Super Bowl. Flip.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to be honest. Preseason, we were talking about the Vikings sign a Southern Miss quarterback. You know what this means? That means the Vikings are guaranteed to go to the.
I'm not going to lie. That's looking pretty damn good right now.
It's looking really fucking good right now, Everett. It's looking really fucking accurate. It's looking really goddamn good right now, Everett. It's looking really good.
Also, that means Packers, Lions, Saints, Bears, Dolphins, Cardinals, Commanders, and Bills. None of them are winning the Super Bowl this year.
The Bills aren't going to win? Fuck, dude. I just threw a future on Justin the other day.
You also you know the meme fuck around and find out. You know that meme?
Of course. How could I not?
Like I said, streaks are meant to be broken. They are made to be broken. Just so happens every single time that the broadcast has displayed these streaks during these games that Kirk Cousins has broken them, Kirk Cousins is on the field in the video. Kirk Cousins, this is versus the Broncos a couple years ago. Teams were 0-99 when trailing by 20 plus points at halftime. Vikings won that game, down 20 points at halftime, broke that streak, 1-99. This is versus the Bears this year. Overcame 2 10-point deficits today versus the Bears. The last time to do that was in 1979, trailed 14-0 and 24-14. And then on Sunday, yesterday, Buffalo Bills, 52 straight wins at home when leading by 14 or more points at half. The last time that they lost at home when winning or by leading by 14 or more points was in 1968.
Okay, a lot of Vikings streaks going out being broken.
Also,
but Everett, there are 2 players that we got to talk about that we haven't brought up yet on the Vikings. Of course, we have the Golden Boy himself that we talk about, but I want to talk a little bit about Kirk real quick. Now, Everett, first half Kirk, definitely not the guy. Definitely not the guy. When I was watching Kirk over the weekend, one thing that I really noticed was like a lack of zip on his balls. Even when he was throwing like 6 or 7 yard drag routes, little under routes, it kind of seemed like he was.
You also realized it was sleeting. It started to sleet during the game. It was pretty cold, so I give a little bit of a cushion for that. But yes, I agree. The first half was not.
I'm gonna be Everett. You cannot keep bringing up weather to me as an Ohio State fan because
I already told you
zero benefit of the doubt.
I don't care. We are not the media on this podcast. We do not report the news.
That's damn fucking right. But I'm just gonna say no one's gonna give you that excuse.
I do not give a shit. I'm talking about throwing a ball. We all know throwing a ball in rain or sleet and cold weather is hard. So if you're gonna argue against that, walk outside.
Alabama fans.
According to Alabama fans, walk outside in your fucking 35-degree weather, 40-degree weather. Take a regulation NFL football, 12 psi, and go throw it 50 yards down the field, 30 yards down the field. And tell me how that goes.
Okay. All right, so I kind of know where this is going to go. My question. Yeah, so clearly you still think Kirk is good enough to will this team and win a Super Bowl.
Let me explain.
Let's break that down.
Let me explain. Okay, and I tweeted this after the game. Kirk Cousins, incredible fourth quarter, mediocre third quarter, but better than the first half. Great fourth quarter, great overtime. with that said, there are still things that he needs to polish, still things that he needs to come up on and fix and get that going. Because obviously he played well in that quarter, but he also almost costed them the game in the first half. So while people are praising Kirk Cousins, saying like Kirk changed whatever, right? He is not necessarily the reason why they won this game. And I think that he has things to work on. He wasn't the reason that they lost it, but he would have been an influence
for your fandom.
And I think that while Kirk Cousins obviously played, like he made up for his losses, it was all over the place. It was a game where there are things that he needs to work on, and there are things that he did great, and there are things that he improved on. And I'll get on that in a second. But there are definitely things that he needs to work on. And I think that he started to improve on them, especially in that fourth quarter. The thing that I think Kirk realized and that Kevin O'Connell has now kind of unlocked, and we saw it at the end of that game and going into the fourth quarter, going into overtime. Be aggressive. Stop just dinking and diving, throwing it to checkdowns unless there's nobody open. Throw it into double coverage to Justin Jefferson. Watch what Aaron Rodgers did to Devontae Adams for the last couple of years. That's what they should be doing. With TJ Hawkinson too, he's got a security blanket. 40-yard, 40-yard guarantees every single week. He is basically not only that, but he's able to get 15 yards on those fourth downs, what we used to see Adam Thielen do. And Adam Thielen made some very impressive catches this week.
Played pretty fucking good last week.
Hawkinson,
we were kind of a little critical about
TJ Hawkinson is able to get those first down conversions in tightly contested catches, which is, I think, is what the team needs. And obviously an extra wide receiver maybe in the future after this year would be helpful.
I want to ask you about KJ Osborn.
I think KJ Osborn's regressed a little bit.
I've just been shocked because last year the KJ I saw was just different. Like
he's up and down.
Catches, that's just not what you want to see.
Yeah, he was getting a majority of the targets in the first half, and I think that's the adjustment that they made.
Is the most targeted player on the team.
They just basically said, "Fuck it, all right, we're winning this. We're giving it to our best player," and then that's what they did. Yeah. But I think KJ Osborn, like there's some regression there. I think that obviously the wide receiver coach that we have is amazing, but I think there's some work that KJ Osborn needs to do with him one-on-one. And I think that there's a possibility that the Vikings might draft a wide receiver in the first round next year to go in because Adam Thielen's getting older. KJ Osborn's not looking like he's going to be the wide receiver 2 of the future. They need something.
Yeah,
they might get somebody in free agency
too. For your happiness sake, I hope.
But I think throwing it, they've now learned, be aggressive. Don't just kind of be wimpy like in these games. And I think that we're going to see more of that going into the future. And I'm curious also to see how they're going to start utilizing Jalen Reagor because we haven't really seen him lately. But when they have used him, they've used him in an impressive fashion because they are able to get extra yards that they wouldn't have otherwise on reverses on out of the backfield, something like that.
Yeah.
And also they've now realized, okay, we're starting to run outside rather than inside to get those extra yards for that run game and utilizing CJ Ham properly. We haven't seen him in a really long time, but they have been able to start using him.
I heard this right. That was his first touchdown in 5 years.
Yes. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Zimmer. That's on Zimmer. Okay, that's not even on KOC. That's on you.
Great, but he's one of the best fullbacks in the game. So, I mean, it's just if they start using
players too. Okay, fullbacks.
They start using him more. Also, Greg Joseph.
Yeah. Okay. So I didn't. The kicking curse in Minnesota is actually fucking hilarious. I feel like it's at this point it's just specific teams. You'll never have a good kicker. Like
we have them for
NFC North.
We have them for little bits of time. We have them for little bits of time, and then the curse catches up to them, and they just have a disaster class meltdown.
So Greg Joseph, he misses the extra point. Was it to go up 4 or like go down by 3?
To be down by 3.
So he misses that. You guys are down by 4. You need a touchdown.
We needed to get a touchdown. That's why at the end of the game, we couldn't kick a field goal there was just blue lightning outside of my house.
As opposed to yellow lightning?
White. Lightning is normally not like neon blue. Like that was neon blue.
Lightning don't. I mean, I know I'm bolt up, but lightning does not fucking occur in LA. So I can't tell you.
I think it's heat lightning.
One thing that I wanted to point out though, just a little run game. We've been talking about this for a sec, but Dalvin Cook breaks off that 81-yard long run.
Changes the pace of the game.
I feel like I haven't really seen an 80-yard Dalvin touchdown like that.
Well, you haven't ever seen it because that was his longest run of his career.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I was just saying in general, I feel like Dalvin's almost guaranteed for 150-yard run a week or something. And I don't know. I am
impressed by the fact that was the reason why we got back in the game, even down by so many points, still continuing with the run game in order to help with the pass. I think that just if it was me and if this was Madden, I wouldn't be running the ball at all. That's
another
props,
thing that I got. It's like I love to fucking shit on the coordinators of my teams. Like, you guys are why the fuck are you doing what? I say a couple weeks ago, why the fuck are they calling bubble screens?
All right, one last thing, and then let's get into the Chargers, and then you can do your recap.
I'll recap at the end, but yeah.
And when you get in the Chargers, I'm gonna slide out for a quick second. I've seen a lot of this on our TikTok, people responding to either our TikTok about Kirk Cousins' contract in the future, or even our horrible prop lock. I apologize. Just fade me every single time.
Prop lock.
My horrible prop lock. I would be defensive and say that I did it after Tulane lost this weekend and didn't care, but no excuses. I'll be doing more research this week. But look, what originally when I said Kirk Cousins, it's the problem with that is all cap space related. He's the biggest cap hit. But here's the thing with Justin Jefferson for his future on the Minnesota Vikings, his contract situation with his new contract coming up, hopefully. Justin Jefferson is going to command the largest wide receiver contract in NFL history, possibly
100%.
the biggest, possibly one of the biggest contracts in NFL history. He still has another year after this, plus a possible 5th-year option. So he might not be coming up for a contract extension for 2 years, depending on what they want to do with the market. I'm expecting his contract extension to be in the range. It's going to be more than Tyreek Hill. It's probably going to be about 5 years. I'm expecting to be within 35 to 40 million per year and include guarantees.
40 a year.
Could be 40 a year and include guarantees. Tyreek Hill is 30 million a year. And that's why I say that it's 5 years, 30 million per year, 120 million.
I'm assuming Terry McLaurin quickly got past his highest paid.
Yes, I think that. I think so. But we also including
right now on average salary, the Chargers, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are 2 of the top 3 highest paid wide receivers per season. And
so here's the thing, Justin Jefferson's contract, it really depends on when they want to extend him. If they extend him sooner, I think that the amount of money overall is going to be less long-term, because I think that those contracts, there's always a new top contract. They're only going to go up. So you honestly might want to extend him sooner than later. I don't really know how that works out, but the problem is now cap space with Kirk Cousins' contract. You have to extend TJ Hawkinson. So there's all that going on. They're going to have to
if Tyreek's at 30 a year right now. Yeah.
That's why I said 35 to 40, plus you're going to have to give guarantees. And there's even a possibility that he might be one of the first players to get percentages of the team.
They're going to make him a minority owner of the Vikings?
Really depends on cap space. It really all depends on cap space, because you have to be able to pay him. And I cannot imagine a world in which Justin Jefferson is not a Viking for life.
But hear this out, though. If Justin Jefferson was literally a partial owner of the Vikings, that would inspire him to play better more than any other thing you could put in his more than any other thing you could put in his contract. Because if he was financially tied to the organization.
Yes, I'm expecting it to be in the range of 5 years, 35 to 40 million with guarantees.
I have some exciting news, and this is a clip. Randy Moss has the current record for the most receiving yards for any NFL wide receiver in their first 3 seasons. He has that record set with 4,163 receiving yards through 3 seasons. Everett, fun fact, Justin Jefferson has played in 9 football games this year. He already has 1,060 receiving yards this year. Justin Jefferson in his first 3 seasons of the NFL, he has 4,076 receiving yards.
No, he's passing Randy Moss.
He is under 100 receiving yards away from breaking Randy Moss's record for most receiving yards.
Also, fun fact with that,
he's going to break it this fucking weekend, Everett.
He's fact with that,
this weekend.
And I'll be there for that. Fun fact with that, by the way, Justin Jefferson now owns the record for the most 100-yard games in your first 3 seasons for any player in NFL history at 20. He still has how many games left this year? We're week 10, remaining. 8 games. There's still 8 games left on that for him to put up 100 yards.
So, yeah. Now, a lot
also he is on pace for over 2,000 receiving yards.
You can't even say Justin Jefferson gets a 17-game season compared to Randy, because he's due in 42 games played. He's put up 4,076 receiving yards.
Yeah.
3 full seasons is 48 games. So he has 6 games to get under 100 receiving yards.
Also, he didn't play the first game of his career.
I take my bet on that.
All right. Let's get the Bolt breakdown. I'm going to let you go off for a minute. I'm going to sneak out. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Bolt breakdown of the Chargers game, guys. I'm now, okay, well, let's just say I'm obviously fucking heartbroken, sad, disappointed the way that the game ended out. But I was extremely, extremely impressed with how the defense was playing from what I expected to happen. So preseason earlier in the week, I was like, Niners -7, hell fucking yeah. We ended up backdooring that, or we ended up late covering that shit. I'm shocked how well the Chargers run defense played last night against the 49ers. Christian McCaffrey only ran for 38 yards on 14 carries. So really, really good run defense containing McCaffrey in the run game. We did a phenomenal job there. The only problem is their backup running back, Eli Mitchell, who was playing his second game of the season, ran for 90 yards on 18 carries. So lose a little bit of that momentum in that run defense when Eli Mitchell gets in the game. Another thing that I just wanted to say in terms of the DB room in general, Debo really wasn't that big of a it was actually funny how McCaffrey and Debo weren't the scary guys on the Niners offense, and it was Ayuk, Jawan Jennings, and Eli Mitchell that were getting the work done. If anything, that's just terrifying for the NFL that McCaffrey and Debo both had awful days for their standards, yet they still beat. Now, maybe I'm giving the Chargers a lot of credit there, but they were playing like a whole different team. And I also was saying, for some reason, I feel more confident in the Chargers playing against better teams than worse ones. I don't know how to explain it, but Chargers in their opening drive go out, score immediately. Chargers week 2 against the Chiefs, opening drive, they come out ready to swing right from the bat. Last couple weeks, before this week, the Chargers actually set a record for most consecutive games with a double-digit deficit in the first quarter. They had that last week with 4 straight games. Third time that had happened in NFL history. But it's whenever they play a good team, I think it's just a team mentality. I'm going to put this on Staley because I'm really not a fan of him. But it's just the team only gets up for big games. If they got the Falcons on the schedule, they're not practicing that week. But if it's his Niners or Chiefs next week, they're showing up to fucking practice. And I just don't understand, Everett, how when we play the Falcons in the first quarter, we literally cannot get a yard. But last night against the Niners and against the Chiefs in week 2, we are marching down the field like it's nothing.
So, I mean, this is where I'm really confused. Because last year, we look at this team. I don't know who your offensive coordinator was last year.
Vince Lombardi.
It's the same O coordinator. Yes. So that's why I'm confused, because last year the offense looked prolifically better than it did this year.
This is another thing, though. I honestly haven't even really experienced much of it, but Keenan Allen matters so fucking much.
Yes, I agree with that. And I honestly, at this point, I don't think he's playing this year.
Now, I read something saying that Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are allegedly practicing this week. However, over the weekend, Keenan Allen had some interesting fucking tweets to make about the Chargers, I guess, coaching and shit just in general. And a lot of some Charger accounts I was following was suggesting, like, what the fuck is Keenan saying? Like, is Keenan saying, fuck this team? I want, like, what does he mean by these tweets? in my opinion, like Keenan's been pretty outspoken since he's got hurt. He's not.
It just means he wants
now.
Sean
He's
Payton.
tweeting a lot. Yeah,
It means he wants Sean Payton.
I want Sean Payton. Actually, fuck it, Keenan. You're probably doing the smart move here. It's just with no Keenan, no Mike Williams, the offense is stagnant. Like we're literally running practice squad receivers.
Look, it's also not like I mean, obviously there's a couple spots in which you wish your GM was going to get like some depth, but
some guy who has at least played a season in the NFL.
But like, look, if you look overall at what your GM has done, trading for
phenomenal. The offseason,
like
fucking
great job.
Nuts,
so it's not necessarily a GM issue.
Really
it is fully on coaching, and now the issue becomes: do you either? I think at the end of the season, either way, Brandon Staley is gone. I think that you can't waste another minute of Justin Herbert's rookie contract. So here's the issue that you now come into. Do you trade multiple first-round picks for Sean Payton and run with the team that you have now, assuming that you can win a Super Bowl with them? Or do you hire one of the new young offensive gurus, a Brian Dable type, a Kevin O'Connell type, and you just assume that they're going to do better?
Yeah, so another interesting thing. So Payton,
in the end,
all contract until 2024.
Who is this? Brandon Staley?
Sean Payton. He's
so you have to trade for him.
So you will have to like trade or acquire. I've been hearing a lot of rumblings with Payton though. Like he wants, like I've heard one player he really wants to team up with is Lamar, and how they're both free agents right now. And
so here's the deal:
I'll go where Lamar goes.
I have not heard that.
My sources,
what my sources have said specifically is there are specific destinations in which Sean Payton wants to go. That he wants to go to. Chargers are. I think he said if it is open, he will take that job. And the thing with Lamar is,
now I'll be honest, him saying that makes me a little concerned that he was lying. But fuck it.
The thing with Lamar is, I think that any possible head coaching candidate that will get to choose where they want to go would want to go with a player that's as versatile as Lamar, that is a perennial potential MVP candidate. The difference is that you have John Harbaugh as a Hall of Fame coach for the Ravens.
Well,
you have Lamar Jackson who will end up being re-signed by 100%. The Ravens.
But yeah, this is all assuming he doesn't re-sign, which I think the Ravens.
I think that even if Sean Payton
Fields actually,
let's say even if Sean Payton doesn't go to the Chargers, I think that a offensive coordinator, offensive guru, head coach has a better chance of hitting and doing well with the team than Brandon Staley currently does. Because in the end, all you're going for is just seeing who can get you the closest to winning the Super Bowl and end up winning it. It only has to be a minor margin.
I agree with you a lot, thinking how, I mean, we've just seen the trend of the young offensive guys. Like their rate at just making the Super Bowl in recent years is absurd if you think about it. Like I would go so far as to say every single Super Bowl matchup for the past 7 years, at least one of the coaches has been a 30 to 35-year-old offensive guy. I literally at least one of the people in the Super Bowl. I was thinking a lot of that same thing preseason. Like, why do we have a defensive guy at head coach? Like, I feel like with a young rookie quarterback, you want an offensive guy to help him out. All my Chargers friends have just been telling me the glaring fucking issue with this team is defense and like special teams.
Which is even worse.
At least when the Staley hire was occurring. If the only issue is like the thinking was correct, let's get a defense guy, but it hasn't gone to plan. Like there, I don't understand how the fuck there could be a young defensive guy that does not make sense. Like defense, I swear you need an uber intimidating coach to just.
I'm not gonna lie. Like Robert Saleh doing great things for the defense for the Jets. Like I can understand that.
Demands more respect though than
Brandon Staley. Yes, that's the thing. But also like Robert Saleh, I don't know if he came out the year after Brandon Staley or the same year as Brandon Staley. But if Robert Saleh was available then, and you wanted to get a defensive coordinator to be your head coach, and you wanted a defensive head coach, why not Robert Saleh, who had the best defense in the NFL that year with the 49ers?
Like, fuck it. Honestly, if I'm gonna be out, like,
imagine if Robert Saleh was the Chargers head coach right now.
I'm forgetting his name, but
D'Amico Ryans.
D'Amico Ryans. There it is.
Yes.
That dude.
I would do the same thing.
The fattest contract upgrade next year, or is he going to be a head coach? You know,
like
it's one of the.
I honestly think that D'Amico Ryans will be a good head. Like, who is the Rams defensive coordinator too? He former player. He was one of the Vikings candidates, but like he also would be a good option for the chart. Like if you want to go defense, like one of them would be good, but also like there's so many potential offensive.
No, yeah, I do think though, just the trend we've seen.
Shit, Mike McDaniel. Nobody knew that he was going to be a potential head coaching candidate going into last season, and look what he's doing on the Dolphins.
I mean, low key, these are just Niners assistants.
Literally, I mean, anybody that
Kyle Shanahan. I mean, the Shanahan family tree has now gone from Big Shanahan to Kyle Shanahan. So
look at, I mean, they're doing well. I mean, the Rams, like Kevin O'Connell's coming from the Rams. Kevin O'Connell's doing great. You can see the Rams are pretty stagnant as an offense this year. Like,
yeah, I think a lot of that's on O-line too. But yeah,
literally, if you go to the team with one of the better offenses or best defenses in the NFL and you just hire their coordinator, I'm going to assume that it's going to work to some degree. It mostly works out. And I don't think Brandon Staley was that guy either going into that job. I think we were all surprised when he got it.
No, I mean, I liked him a lot. Just hearing him speak a lot. I like him a lot as a guy.
He's a good speaker.
Let me say
you're a good coach.
But let me say this, Everett. Like, I think he definitely should still be on the staff in some way. I don't think he'd want to do that. Previously being the head coach to then be like demoted. But like, now I'm not gonna say like he's the number 2 guy in charge either. But like he could definitely be the number 3 guy in charge of the Chargers for the future. But like not 1 or 2. Fuck no. But number 3, yeah. Yeah.
Well, the only situation that you ever have in where
I know it's unrealistic
would be a Jason Garrett-esque situation where you elevate them to the office.
My one question though that I'll ask you this, Everett: who the fuck would want to hire Brandon Staley as a head coach after what he's done with the Chargers?
He won't. He's gonna be
we probably
coordinator.
Could get him back at coordinator. I
don't know if you want him calling the plays at defensive coordinator either, though.
I like when it comes to calling defense.
Like here's the thing too. Like look at
players, but
who was the old Falcons head coach winning the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Dan Quinn. Look at Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn got fired from the Falcons after a horrendous year, horrendous defensive performance. Took a little bit of time, rehabilitated himself, and now he's the D coordinator for the Cowboys. Yeah. Look what he's doing with that defense. No. So, yeah, fat turnaround. Don't get me wrong.
But all right,
okay. Yeah, just last, just little thing I want to say about the Chargers. This team, the injury shit. Like I know, I've been complaining a lot about injuries this year. Like I know, but it's actually like hilarious at this point. Within the past 48 hours, 3 interior D linemen have either been cut or hurt and out for the rest of the season. In the last 48 hours, Everett. I think the Chargers currently have 4 healthy interior D linemen on the roster, and 2 of them are practice squad call-ups. And like now, right. I'm gonna be honest. Like the NFL is a fucking man's league. Like I was kind of in the past. I was like, oh, if your star player gets hurt, it's bullshit. But I'm kind of more on the side of next man up. I don't fucking care who's playing. You're a team. You better figure it the fuck out. I don't care who's in. I'm kind of a little bit more on that side now. Just when I'm watching the Chargers.
Also, that whole it makes a very big impact. It makes a very big impact who you have as strength and conditioning.
That's something I really want to bring up, and it kind of ties back to Ohio State also.
A lot of teams have brought in
so fucking hurt right now.
A lot of teams have brought in new age strength and conditioning coaches and have done new things. And they are ramping it. Like they are doing so well when it comes to staying healthy.
I can just guarantee that after last year with literally the whole world calling out like Ohio State's toughness and shit, I don't want to know what they were doing in workouts. I don't want to know how horrible they were because they were getting murdered, 100% murdered by fucking Coach Mick. But yeah, that's what I had on the Chargers.
Let's wrap it up and we wrap it up with
side
because we've been going for a while. So let's wrap it up with the college or the NFL recap.
Yeah. Okay. NFL recap, Everett.
You ready? Let's get ready to rumble.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Great roll.
3, 2, 1, go.
Game of the year happened this Sunday between the Vikings and the Bills. Kirk Cousins, he's him. Josh Allen, I'm sorry, brother. That wasn't it. Country Roads, Take Me Home in Germany. We need to start including a little more songs in NFL stadiums because that was one of the coolest shit I've ever seen at an NFL event. Justin Fields did his best, tried his hardest to carry the boys against the Lions, but I mean, a late pick six and some unfortunate shit didn't go his way.
Stop. That was might be one of the slowest NFL recaps we've ever.
that was pretty that wasn't good.
That was bad.
That just wasn't
you
good.
Might have to redo that.
You're gonna have to
redo that.
You
have to redo that.
But maybe it was so bad it might be our best one.
No. You're talking of maybe like a word per like every 15 seconds. Like it looks like a toddler trying to read a book for the first time in their lives.
I'll be honest, ever since we've gone to the try to make it like the first one, don't fucking prep anything. I don't know how I did that.
You're literally like one of those kids. You're like one of those kids in like elementary school who's now just learning to read, and they're going like this with their finger, going like word for word, like that's the caterpillar climbed up the that's another the.
I'll be honest, my brain's a little out the window. Had a midterm literally right before recording.
I've been studying the entire.
I may or may not have been prepared for. But here we are.
I've been studying for. I've basically been learning the way that our entire existence happens for the last 3 hours. So understandable.
Yeah, there you go. But I think it's gonna do it, Everett. I think it's gonna wrap up the episode.
Yeah, I apologize for Grant's horrific NFL recap.
Bad.
It will be different on TikTok, so you might want to check that one out.
I apologize. But
I don't think your apology is going to be enough.
I don't shy away from failure. I'll put up my failures online.
Oh no, the Waterboys here at Waterboy Podcast at Waterboy LLC. We actually invite failure. If you check out
LLC now, okay.
If you check out all of my prop locks, you can tell that we are very comfortable with failing because I do that every weekend. You can check out my prop locks every Saturday.
I appreciate the humility, Everett. I appreciate
just fade me, and you'll make money.
He said
but with that,
me.
Yeah, we should change it to like fade my locks. That's what it should be now, not prop locks. Fade my locks.
Maybe the worst bets of the week. Do not bet these.
Do not bet these. Maybe that will do well. Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching, listening. Rate us 5 stars. Check us out on YouTube at Waterboy Pod, on TikTok at Waterboy Pod, and Twitter if Elon Musk doesn't take us down at Waterboy Pod. We have new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday. You can make sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, and YouTube. With that, please make sure to play us on Delta. I know people are traveling for Thanksgiving this next week. We want to be Delta's #1 podcast. With that, Waterboys out. Thank you guys so much for listening.